Howdy, 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 and thank you for joining me tonight, folks. Tonight we got a really good and interesting discussion that we're going to be talking about. It's about the Department of Justice, FBI, what's going on, some updates with that, also some other pieces for us to get into. And before we get started here, let me make sure we're saying howdy to everybody. So let's see, we got Mona Englert here, Dusty Soda Dispenser, Laura Waldy. Let me check here, make sure we're not missing too many people. We got my buddy Dave from Gotta Love Thailand. And folks, make sure you get over, give Dave a check out his channel. Gotta Love Thailand. Dave's a real good guy. He has some great content, living his best life over there in Thailand. Really appreciate having him out there and showing the sides of it that you don't see from a lot of folks. A lot of folks want to show Bangkok and they want to show all the party stuff or the oceans and all that. And Dave shows you, the nice, quiet, simple life from in, I would say it's about middle portion of the country, maybe a little closer to the northern end of it, but it's over on the east side of the country there, and it's just nice and beautiful. Has a great life going there. So make sure you get over and check him out. Say howdy to him. Lisa Robinson, thank you for being here with that beautiful lab in your picture. Miss Janie, how you doing? Let's see. Verity, howdy. Thunderidge, Senkei, and Sandy Lee. All right, everybody. So as I said tonight, we got a really interesting update that we're going to be doing tonight, and I'm going to bring in friend of mine, someone who has been part of this channel many times. Might as well just say she's part of the channel now. So please, if you would please welcome our good friend Mona, also known as Fat Grammy. How we doing tonight?
In my boudoir, definitely. And thank you for the warm welcome, but I am ready to rumble.
There you go. How are the shoulders feeling?
They're feeling better. I'm
That's
still
good.
not quite healed, but I'm sleeping at night. They're
That's
not
good. That's
shooting
good.
pains down my arms. So
Well,
that's an
awesome.
improvement.
And folks, make sure you get over there and show Mona some love. She's got a great channel over there. I personally don't think there's anybody who is doing the research and, digging into a lot of different things like Mona's doing. She is it's amazing the kind of stuff that she's doing. So make sure you get over there, subscribe, show her some support and let her know how you feel. She's at 564 subscribers. We need to get her over that 1,000 as quickly as possible, folks. So make sure you get out there and show some love and support on that. So
that would be just amazing to do that. That would be amazing.
I can tell you, the big ones, 1,000, 5,000 were insane. I'm getting close now. I'm less than 300 away from 10,000, and every day I'm ready to chew my fingernails off when I hit the what do you call that? The channel dashboard for the YouTube studio to see how my counts are doing. So believe me, I know how it feels. And when you hit that 1,000 mark, it's just an incredible feeling that you have 1,000 people subscribing to your channel. So
pretty dang awesome that you're almost at 10. That is just so incredible.
Yeah, it's blowing my mind. I was surprised when I hit 5,000, but to get up to where I am now, I'm just like, I just don't understand how this is happening. But you know what? You don't look a gift horse in the face. You know that. So
that's right.
Let's see. Had a bunch more people jump in. We got Miss Sunrise Dawn here, Anaphylaxis, Best Big Sister, Chaos Coffee. I like that name. LA in Toronto Scientology Audit. Sandy Lee's here. All right, so we're getting quite a few people. We're getting some new faces and a lot of our regulars coming back in. Good to see you all. I know right now. Let me take a look. I'm pretty sure right now, yeah, there's a whole bunch of channels are live right now. So, we're not trying to take away from anybody's stuff. We're just here. We're trying to put the truth out there, try to get some good information out to folks, and, just try to give you both sides of every story that's going on things out there. So, been pretty busy week here going on, hasn't it?
It has been a weird, wacky week. All the W's put together.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier, I'm not going to get into any of the weeds. That's another W word, but I'm staying focused, staying in my lane,
Yeah.
staying neutral, and just trying to do what I need to do to put those pieces of the puzzle together,
Yeah.
because it would be so easy to get off on a tangent
Absolutely.
and not do what we're supposed to be doing. And I think that is probably the reasoning behind Church of Scientology and or the other people trying to get us off our game.
Yeah.
And I don't need that right now. Right now, I need to stay focused on what I need to do.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, you know, that's for me to do. I'm the one who gets taken off in 50 different directions during my lives. So I can handle all that. I deal with enough chaos on my own. So we need you doing what you're doing. And that is, you know, digging in and finding out things that a lot of other people don't even realize are potentials. And, you know, it's like with the, you know, um, getting the meetings with the OIG for LA, you know, all the different things that you got going on. But something else that a lot of people haven't been paying much attention to is you've been trying to work with the DOJ, haven't you?
I have. I have
So
along the same lines, right?
what kind of updates you got for us on that? And how's
Well,
that looking?
for those that haven't been with us before, maybe new to the channel or maybe new to this angle of attack, do you mind if I just kind of start at the beginning a little?
Go right at it.
With the OIG for LAPD, the tactic was to go in and start making the complaint against LAPD, using the complaints as a Trojan horse to get our voice into the Office of Inspector General and most likely the mayor's office at the same time. So that way it puts pressure on the LAPD. It's worked kind of a little bit, maybe it will. It's greased something. It's done something. It didn't like completely stop it like I really wished it would, but it's done something. It's helped us advance.
Right.
So we were talking, several of us that are in a little group together, and we were talking about doing the 501c3 status and getting that revoked. So I started down the rabbit hole of how do I get the 501c3 status revoked? I've got a very long history for businesses, HR, for nonprofits. I owned a hockey organization, the largest one in Alaska at the time. So
Wow.
I know my 501c3 issues also. So I started looking into why they haven't revoked their 501c3. And basically, they did revoke it back in 1969. Then they fought for 24 years. It was re-given back to them in 1994. And since then, they've had their 501c3 status. Well, the problem is that the Church of Scientology is a spider web, and they have well over 50 businesses that are considered nonprofits. They each have their own individual 501c3 statuses. You have the Church of Scientology as its head. The Church of Scientology, oddly enough, doesn't even have members. It doesn't have clergy. It doesn't have a building. The Church of Scientology itself isn't, it's a fictitious church.
I was about to say it's nothing more than a paper entity, isn't it?
That's right. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
so you have all of these other parts of the church that feed into that and then feed up to the Church of Spiritual Technology and the Religious Technology Center. Those are the two main ones. And the members themselves of the church, if I get too much in the weeds, I'm sorry, but this
Oh no,
all
I'm
plays in.
if you
The,
can't tell, I'm paying very good attention right now. So
the church parishioners themselves actually buy a membership into the Association of Scientologists Inter-
isn't it
International.
IAS, International Association of Scientology? or
Yeah,
Scientologist.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
ASI or something like that. And yeah, so the members buy that. They purchase a membership into the church. I don't know what church you have to buy a membership into, but kind of more like a
Yeah. Yeah. I've
a
never seen that
club
movie yet.
to me. So, but anyways, that's what they buy their membership into. And then they buy the counseling, they buy the services and the counseling and the audits, all of that is sold from the staff, the church staff. The Sea Org members don't do the selling, but each of the church staff can sell these services, and they're kind of like a vacuum cleaner salesman. They don't get a 1099. They purchase the services and then resell them. It is the oddest thing how they have it all set up. So it's very much a spider web and a maze, and it's the if people want to sue, and I'm just going to say the Church of Scientology and all of its related entities, you have to figure out who you're supposed to be suing
Huh.
and who employs who and what goes where. And that's almost an impossibility. Then that was put together for the 1993 when they received back their 501c3. And then they also did more to the IRS, the commissioners and all of the people. They had sued them and bugged them and formed complaints. And then after that, they continued doing it. So then the IRS commissioner in 1999 said, "Ooh, everybody stand down. Don't do anything with the Church of Scientology. We're going to sign a memorandum of agreement." And so they signed a an MOR to where it's almost impossible for the IRS to audit them on anything. Almost impossible. You read through, and it was leaked. The agreement was leaked by one of the big papers. They got a hold of it. So I've got a copy of that agreement.
Well,
But
here's a question I've got. When you have a situation like that and it gives such leniency and leeway to one organization like that, how does that not affect how other organizations fight back against the IRS?
mm,
Doesn't it start setting a precedent there? Yeah, that's what I'm saying
sure
is, I
does.
mean,
But that's, where money talks, the agreement walks. And
wow.
and so they have this agreement, and it was David Miscavige and the IRS commissioner and Marty Rathbun who signed this agreement, and that was December 31st, 1999, the night before Y2K. So they made it impossible, basically impossible for the IRS to go in and revoke. So every time we're out there with our signs in front of the IRS, there isn't a dang thing they can do. Not one thing. It's completely just chatter. You're just chattering in their ears. Okay, but there's one little caveat that they put into this agreement, and that is based on the law. The law says there's 5 ways for you to have your 501c3, whether you're just a nonprofit or a religious entity, to get it revoked. There's 5 ways. The first one was annulment. That's how they got rid of it in 1969, and then ended up getting it back. The other ones are for political, for lobbying, for stuff like that. The first 4 are adjudicated by the IRS. The 5th one is no illegal activities and no violating fundamental public policy. And that's adjudicated by the Department of Justice, completely
Okay.
away from the IRS. So I thought, we know they do illegal activities, and we know they violate public policy on a day-to-day basis, right?
Right.
How can we prove that? So I started going down that rabbit hole. And then, of course, Liz came up with her receipts, and they started doing the march around the Celebrity Center when Liz Gale came up with that as her project. You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, well, because you have to prove, you can't just prove that it is it. I use this example all the time, the FLDS. You can't prove that Jeff's, whatever his name is, he's in jail for graping that young girl, having intimate relations with
With the
an
minor.
SA, right?
Yeah.
With a minor. The priests, they were sanctioned because of it. Warren Jeffs, thank you, Mona, my twinsie. The priests, they were sanctioned, but the churches didn't lose their licenses. They didn't lose their status because people did it, not the
Right.
organization. So you have to prove that it's the organization,
Yeah.
something in the organization or the organization as a whole. And looking at their doctrine and their beliefs, it made it pretty easy because their doctrines and beliefs are auditing, ethics handling, and the word just slipped right out of my head. Sessions, consults. You know the last one.
Right. You got the auditing sessions. You've got, I mean, it's just ridiculous. You've got
Ethics
the,
handling and courses.
right.
And within those, you have disconnection and purification rundown. So within those 5 things, if you're doing those with just adults, that's one thing. But when you're doing them with children,
Mhm.
that's completely different, and that's abusive more than not.
As we showed with
And
the Mace Kingsley school organization, whatever they're calling it now. I
exactly,
mean,
the
when
family center.
you are directly going after children and explaining why you're doing it, and then you're posting LRH's actual statements on the fact of why you handle children and why you audit children, why you put them through the purification rundown, those kinds of things. I mean, how do you argue that when you have one of your, I mean, you have this organization that's been kicked out of 3 different states, finally ends up in Florida, and instead of calling themselves a school or a ranch, now they're a family center, and
Mhm.
they're using LRH doctrine to do so. I mean, how does an organization argue that? And then the next question that a lot of people have, I know why, is the fact of why isn't the DOJ going after them? Can you think of reasons why?
Because you have to be able to prove it. And I know we've on many lives have talked about this, that sending in a plant or getting somebody to go in, you're still hurting a child in order to even do that, or having somebody. But then I thought, Liz Gale, it's up to 192 now.
I thought it was over
There's
200 already.
192 people on that list
Yeah.
of receipts of people that have been abused that are
As
now
good.
grown.
Yeah.
Some of them are unalived, unfortunately,
Oh,
and
yeah.
God rest in peace.
Well,
But we have the receipts.
when we think about Surge, we think about Jamie Mustard, we think about Miriam. That's the thing is that there are so many receipts laying around right now. Jamie, Surge, Miriam, those are just the ones who are willing to talk about it openly. Think about how many of them are still in the shadows who don't want to come into the public space like SPTV and stuff like that, but would be willing to share their stories.
True.
Yeah.
So, do you mind if I play this video right now for a second?
Well, give me 1 second here. Let's catch up with a little housekeeping here. Everybody,
Go ahead.
say thank you to Sir Crepidus if you got one of those gifted memberships. As always, Sir Crepidus, you saw him here last night, folks. He'll be back on Sunday night as we're we're doing an episode called Judging the judge who handed out all those temporary restraining orders. We're going to start looking into him a little bit here and see what's going on with that.
Nice.
That's going to be something we really need to dig into. Let's see here. Let's
And
see.
I sent Sir Crepitus the link to make the complaints against the judges. So you have that now.
Okay. Let's see. Clicked on your icon. It gave me the light. That's wild. Let's see. Nisa, when do you think there would be charges brought against Scientology? Any timeline? I can tell you personally, having dealt with feds, you never know when or where they're going to strike or they're going to bring down an indictment. I've literally seen them sit on cases and let it go for 2-3 years. And then suddenly that's when they bring the indictment. And it seems like it's one of their policies where they allow people to kind of get somewhat comfortable thinking nothing's going to happen to them. And then next thing they drop it on them. So that's
my spidey senses are saying probably 3 to 4 months. That's what my spidey senses are saying. Because I know a little bit more that I'll share here in just a minute.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things I know, and I've watched them do it many times, is they'll come in, they'll start doing the interviews, they'll start going into all those different things, and then they'll go radio silent for a while, and then boom, out of nowhere. So, all right, so lead us in with this video and what we got going on.
Okay. So, well, and thank goodness this is against the IRS, not so.
Not DOJ.
Yeah, let me see if I can make this happen.
Okay. All right, let me add it to it here.
Can you see it?
There we go. I just added it to the screen.
Okay. And I'm going to.
Okay. You know more about this stuff than I do, so is that it? Looks
is
like
it playing? Okay, so it'll kind of play on its own here for the next. It'll only take about 30 seconds or so.
Okay. You want to describe it to us as it's going through, or does it have?
So the first one was, about 200 people in the audience. They've all screamed, "I've been hurt, I've been abused, I was put in the hole." And one person stands up and says, "Hey, wait a minute. What about the previous claims? The IRS and FBI."
Hold on 1 second. It's on the last frame.
Is it?
Yeah, it looks like that's where it started. You might want to go back up and click on the first one and then push the play.
Okay.
Let's see. Gotta love technology.
I know. I'm going to do this so that way I can see both at the same time.
Okay.
It says it's sharing.
I got it. It's on the screen, but it's on the second to last slide. I'm the last person to be asking for advice on this stuff. So
okay, so anyway, I'll put it in the thing. You guys can watch it later. But at the very end, you can put it back up there. At the very end, the whole audience stands up at the same time and says, "Wait a minute, you have receipts. We're all receipts, all of us, the whole audience." So okay, so you get the gist of it. It wasn't like the grand, beautiful thing. I'm not the most tech savvy either person.
Oh, that's all right. But here I'm gonna pull it up from the email you sent me, and I want to go over some of these different slides with it.
Okay.
And talk about that. So basically, what we got here, folks. Let me see if I can zoom it in. There we go.
My thought was, in running these slides through, kind of helps describe what the process is. Versus people going in and saying, "I was abused," filing to the FBI. The FBI has to go to each person. What happened was, I made a claim because Mike Rinder and Amy Scobie and them had filed a claim back in 2006 or 7, I believe, In 2009, it was dismissed, but that claim was against, he was in the hole and they were hitting each other, and David Miscavige was beating people. And I
Right.
thought, well, yeah, so they've had claims. Just nothing ever comes of them.
Well, I think also one of the takeaways on that is that we're talking about individualized claims, whereas now instead of doing on the individual route, we're going in as a mass filing, almost like a class action kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Nope.
No?
Close. Nope. So
Close.
so when I filed for that, the FBI called me and said, um, and here's where, people have called and people have said, hey, I've been hit and all that. Go to the next slide.
Okay.
The FBI called me and said, this is where I made the claim. Go to the next slide.
Okay.
The FBI called me and said, you're not injured. It's not you. If they have claims, they need to file in their own regions, in their own districts, in their own states, and we'll take it one by one.
Okay.
And I said, no, this is an aggregate thing. This is a systemic problem, similar to the OIG and LAPD. This
Right.
is a whole problem, and you're not protecting us. Go ahead and go to the next one.
Okay.
We're going to file against you. All of the children, you are not protecting the children of Scientology for physical, sexual, mental abuse and neglect, for all of those doctrines and beliefs that they're using on the children. You have not protected the children, FBI. We are going to claim against you, FBI. So
Okay.
they're not filing claims for the abuse. They're filing claims against the FBI for not protecting them, for letting them have their 501c3. It's a loophole. It's a
Yeah.
way to get into a back door, because you have all of these people, every single person that's been a staff or a Sea Org member has signed arbitration agreements that they
Right.
would never ever sue them, or somebody else would never ever sue them or hold them harmless or complain against them. Nobody ever signed anything saying they wouldn't sue the FBI or claim against the FBI.
So, well, and then this last one, it says the whole audience stands. We are
Against
the
the
receipt.
FBI.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting point on it is the fact that instead of the FBI going to them making the complaints, they do the runaround. You have to go here, you have to do that, you have to jump through these hoops, you have to do these things. Instead of going after directly after Scientology for it, we going after the FBI for the fact that they're not doing their job of protecting these people, and that by allowing them to continue to have their 501c3, they are essentially allowing the their
They're allowing the abuse to happen.
yeah, they're I'm trying to come up with a word for it, but they're basically acting in concert with them. They're
Right.
by allowing them to do it, they are basically shielding them, and
Right.
they are also subject to the ramifications of it. Now, who do you file against the FBI in this situation? Do you file to the DOJ? Who do you file to?
It's to the Office of Inspector General,
Okay.
through to the Department of Justice, and you'll have like a little drop down saying, and I'm going to walk you through a sample one at the very end here. I hope you don't mind me going through this, because people really, this video is for all the children that have grown up that were abused physically, mentally, sexually,
Right.
and neglected. All of those people, all of their children that were abused because of disconnection or purification.
Wow.
All of the
Yeah.
people that have been deceased because of this, their family members can file these claims. You're not talking about 186, 192 people here. You're talking about probably at least 1,000.
Yeah, and mischief managed. The word I was looking for was complicit in the acts. By their failing to act, they are becoming complicit in the acts themselves. So, and
Oh,
it's that's the thing is that Sir Crepitus and I were talking last night about being a supervisor and the liability that falls on you as a supervisor by the officers underneath of you. You may not have done anything, but an officer did, and it falls upon you as a supervisor to be the person who stops those actions. And that liability, that seems like the same kind of liability that would fall onto the FBI in this situation. Their refusal to act or to do what they're supposed to do and allowing this organization to keep going actually enables them to do what they're doing, and it makes them complicit in it. Let's see here. Chitsa, Mona, is the COS and their 501 entities meeting the board of directors requirements? Monthly meetings with minutes, specific board positions like president, secretary, and treasurer.
you would have to do a rundown of the 50 plus organizations that they have. And yeah, they probably are. Only because their legal team, they have incredible lawyers. Okay,
Hmm.
kudos to the Church of Scientology. They have a frickin' elite slate of lawyers. They really do. So I'm sure they are, but it doesn't matter. You can't get it through the IRS's auditing process. You can't bring any of that up because of that 1999 agreement.
And I wanted to say it earlier when you were talking about the different phases of the organization, all the different entities and all that. The thing is, I'm surprised that more organizations don't follow the same guidelines because of the way that they've set this up. It literally disperses liability throughout this organization in insane ways. And when folks are like, this needs to end now, we need to stop them now. The thing is that's why it has been so hard, and that's why I keep saying this is a marathon, not a sprint, because there's,
Yeah.
it's like the saying of the Hydra: you cut the one head off the Hydra, three more pop up. That's the
Mhm.
that's the kind of thing that you're working with on this, and it's
It
not going
truly
to be
is.
something that happens overnight. It's it's
It truly
it's
is.
yeah, it's an entity that has been set up. It appears that it's been set up specifically to be this way, so it's hard to stop it. And that's the amazing thing here. And I'm just, it's, to me, it's so surprising you know how deep this really goes. And
Honestly, it was a brilliant setup. It
oh my
really
gosh,
was, and
yeah.
if you can imagine if they woulda used that for good, how, that they could be ruling the world on a good way, you know?
But you think
Just
about it, a decent upstanding organization, why would they need to set themselves up like that if they're doing the right
it's
thing and they're not doing things where they need to hide themselves under 50 different layers.
that's
So
true. So that's how I'm coming across this and brought this to, and I've been working with Nora and Serge for a little while now to get them comfortable, to get them to understand, and to find the right timing
mhm.
because the timing had to be right in order to, told you, ready to rumble,
Yep.
do the right punch and the left punch and
Yeah, you set up
the
your combinations.
the protesters and the protesters around the world, and then the convoy, and then the occupation, and now this, and it's just we're just trying to punch them on all different levels, and it's working. It really is working. It's annoying the heck out of them. I can't even imagine being in little Davy's army
It's
office right now. I mean, I'm sure somebody's getting an earful.
Oh yeah,
So
well, some earful, getting a few knuckles up to the old cheaters there. I mean,
yeah, a
it's
faceful.
kind of crazy. Chitsa wanted to know, don't 501s have to provide records to the public if requested since they're a nonprofit? That I thought that their tax forms were pretty much the records that are made public.
They do, but all of their 501c3s are minimum, and churches don't have to. A church, okay, so there's 14 different levels, 14 different qualifications to a church. And a church itself, if they meet those 14 requirements, and I believe it's CSI that is the church portion of it, you don't even have to file 990s, which is your tax return, your exempt tax return. You don't have to file 990. You don't have to file your papers. You don't have to have anything. The church. Now, religious organizations have to. There's a difference between a church and a religious organization, and you have a combination of both with the Church of Scientology.
Yeah, wouldn't that be like you have like the Southern Baptist Church in your town, but then you have the Association of Southern Baptist Churches.
It's
Two
kind of
completely
like that.
Yeah.
Right, kind of like that. So, and even the 990s that they file, like for RTC and CST,
Mhm.
they have like, I think the last one I looked had like $15,000 worth of gross income on there. Because it's just minimal stuff. I mean,
Yep.
there's so many different organizations and they have it so spread so thin that none of it is realistic. You can't pop any of them and go, oh, that's the balloon. It just doesn't
Right.
do that.
Well, Nanya Business was talking about someone had said that they had filed over 14,000 individual suits against 14,000 individual IRS agents, and they finally said, fine. I don't think it's just that. You also have the full page ads that were being run that were declaring things about the director of the IRS, going after his wife and children, going after the wives and children of individual IRS agents. It takes some serious cojones to go after the IRS, but not just to go after the IRS, but to go after them on that scale. You've
Yeah.
got some serious
Well,
fighting.
and you got to think of it, the Church of Scientology, I mean, the IRS took down some of the mobs. I mean, and they'll come after you for $15. Are you kidding me?
Mhm. Yeah.
They owed billions of dollars through those 23 years. Billions of dollars. If the IRS truly wanted to, they could have done something. There was some hand holding going on, and it probably wasn't just hands that were being held. There was something going on, more so. So it was everything combined, really, that got them their back. Who knows? Maybe the commissioner was a Church of Scientologists. We
Now,
don't know that. We don't know that.
I've talked to attorneys, and Amy Ann is saying they should be arrested for racketeering, but I don't believe that racketeering actually is something you can bring against a religious organization. I believe it has to be under it's different groupings, but a religious organization, I don't believe that they actually fall under the RICO Act. Do you know much about that?
Yeah. I don't.
Okay.
I haven't really looked into that too much because figured if my nose was into RICO information, then I'd probably get tagged even more than what I'm probably already. It's bad enough the FBI already knows my phone number. So
Yeah.
I just kind of left it at that. But so much has happened that now we kind of got off to where I was completely. I know we were talking about the RICO or the 501c3. It'll come back to me.
Yeah.
My brain will fire in just a second. So everybody standing up and going against the FBI together is the way to get this done. And then they have three answers. Yes. So let's go ahead and read this claim.
Okay. Let me pull
And
that up.
then, as I said, eventually I'm going to have you I want you to do a claim. But if you pull up that document.
Yep, I'm getting ready to pull it in right now. There we go. All right. So this is the claim. So, and basically this from what I'm looking at here right now, where it says I and then in red provide your name. This would be like a form that anyone who has actual cause to go against the FBI for failing to stop the Church of Scientology. This would be like almost like a boilerplate kind of form for them.
This is exactly a boilerplate, and all you're doing is you're putting your name, John Poe. The first paragraph basically describes, because I can't see it from here, so I can't read it. You can
I'll
read
go
it
ahead
if
and
you
read
want.
I state your name, would like to submit a complaint. I was physically, mentally, or SA'd or neglected as a child, and the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, and Internal Revenue Service, IRS, did not protect me or allow me to have due process. The FBI and IRS did not investigate properly, if at all, allegations of illegal activity, violations of public policy, allegations of abuse and neglect from the Church of Scientology beliefs, practices, and doctrine of auditing, ethics handling, and courses to include practices of purification and disconnection. These practices are enforced and administered to children not only 8 to 17, but babies as young as 1 day old.
So then the next couple of paragraphs is just quoting them back their law. That's
okay.
their law, saying that the 5 different ways.
I'll go ahead and read through it. Per the IRS
Okay.
document publication 1828, page 4, lists the IRC. What is IRC?
International Revenue Code.
Okay. Rule for exempt organizations, 5 distinct ways to lose your tax exempt status. Jeopardizing tax exempt status. All IRC Section 501c3 organizations, including churches and religious organizations, must abide by certain rules. Their net earnings may not inure to any private shareholder or individual. They must not provide a substantial benefit to private interests. They must not devote a substantial part of their activities to attempting to influence legislation. They must not participate in or intervene in any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for public office. And this one's in bold, the organization's purposes and activities may not be illegal or violate fundamental public policy. And that's the kicker word right there. That's the caveat.
That's the only one enforced by the Department of Justice.
All the rest are enforced by the IRS, and we already know that they're already on a short leash, so there's not much going to happen there.
Right.
So the next paragraph starts off with a complaint against FBI and IRS to include abuse from all command channels of Scientology, to include but not exhaustive of Church of Scientology International, Religious Technology Center, Church of Spiritual Technology, the Sea Org, unincorporated volunteer religious organization, International Association of Scientology. My goodness. The U.S. International of Association of Scientologists, member trust.
That is where every penny of the organization goes, is the member trust. That's the $1 billion baby.
U.S. International Association of Scientologists member trust. Wow. All trustees of the members trust, all Church of Scientology that are licensed from CSI, Bridge Publications, Golden Era Productions, the Mace Kingsley Family Center, and David Miscavige. That's a list, and that's just dipping your toe into the amount of organizations they have, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Let's see the next paragraph. I have attached the list of other names that are proclaiming there have been and continues to be to this day illegal activity of aggravated child abuse, violations of public policy exposing minors to adult content or explicit content, crimes of that kind of nature, physical abuse, mental abuse, physical neglect, mental neglect, and basic human rights violations. The list can be found at this website, and then it has the rustic and resourceful.com, the receipt. Also,
that's
previous FBI. What's that?
That's Liz Gale's website.
Okay. Also provides FBI claims here, vault.fbi.gov/Church of Scientology.
I
That
found a vault of FBI claims against the Scientology.
wow. Well, give me 1 second here. I'm gonna pull that up. We'll be talking about that in a little bit here.
I will. I'm gonna put it up. They're all redacted, so you can't see who they are, anyways.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So the next one says personal interviews and affidavits can be obtained through any one of these people. Those that have died due to Scientology crimes have relatives that can be called on. Notable people on the list that have been public about their abuse: Aaron Smith Levin, Colin Smith Levin. Isn't it Aaron Levin? Yeah. I keep thinking about what Chad says. Serge Delmar, Liz Gale, Philip Gale, Laura Anderson, Eric Rader, Natalie Webster, Lana Webster, Jenna Miscavige, Mike Brown, Miriam Francis, Nora Ames, Liz Ferris, Reese Quibble, Louise Repetto, other ex-Scientologists that have made claims to the FBI: Mike Render, Leah Remini, Amy Scobie, all were children victimized by the organization. However, their previous claims were for adult violence. That's wow. Let's see. Next, we have their personal witness statements that can be made, and there are files taken by Mike Render from the Office of Special Affairs, aka OSA, when he left, will prove without a doubt the abuses being claimed. Definition of each 4 of the 5 ways given in the publication. The 5th definition must be taken from, and that's from the IRS.gov, and that's talking about their, the different listings on there, titled J, activities are illegal or contrary to public policy. In this document, there is substantiality tested note. The next one says 2, determining substantiality. According to the analysis of what's the GCM?
I can't see it, so I don't know. It's the substantiality test.
Right. Dated October 4th, 1971, and determining whether disqualifying activities are present to a significant extent, in parentheses, that is when they become substantial, more must be considered than the ratio they bear to the activities in furtherance of exempt purposes. The nature of such acts is as important as their quantity. A great many violations of local pollution regulations amounting to a sizable percentage of an organization's operations might be required to disqualify it from 501c3 exemption. Yet, if only a small fraction of its activities were directed to robbing banks, it would not be exempt. This is an example of an act having substantial, non-exempt nature while lacking substantiality of amount. A very little planned violence or terrorism would constitute substantial activities, not in furtherance of exempt purpose. So what I'm reading from this is it's not a matter of how much it is, it's how
what
it's quantity over quality, quality over quantity, basically.
Exactly.
And so basically, you can have 5,000 instances of the organization throwing paper out the window and littering. That's, does that hold up to a single essay against a child? Whereas that single essay would be considered a very substantive act in and of itself. And I'm not trying to compare them, folks. What I'm doing is I'm using them as an example of how you can
that's what the Department of Justice is saying, is that that's just in their law. This is their law.
The act in and of itself can hold more weight because of the act. And so if you have something that's absolutely minuscule, like, and I'm not saying littering's minuscule, but compared to essay of a child, I would consider it minuscule.
Yeah.
And then it further goes on in this complaint. I am claiming all command channels of Scientology that include CSI, RTC, CST, and all COS licensed churches are subject to this substantiality test. And if robbing banks qualifies, then certainly aggregated child abuse and child SA fits the bill. Because of the criminal and violent nature of the complaint, it is of utmost urgency to not have one more child added to this list. And then it follows on with, I am proposing 2 resolutions. One, the Church of Scientology and all related religious support entities affiliated with CSI have their 501c3 tax exempt status immediately revoked under emergency declaration. If not immediately revoked, at the minimum, suspended until the matter is resolved. 2, the U.S. IASMT full fiduciary authority and all funds created by, and it goes over those different organization and adds church's silence under CSI. There are only 4 trustees that report directly to David Miscavige, the leader of the Church of Scientology and commander of the Sea Org. I'm asking funds and accounts be frozen to this trust until a resolution is made. That's pretty damning right there in itself. Calling for I think that's one of the things that's going to really, that would really slap them in the face the hardest, is freezing all of their funds. Okay, and Mona says GCM is General Counsel Memorandums. Where do you keep coming up with this stuff, Mona? You keep our legal memorandums from the Office of the Chief Counsel prepared in connection with review of certain proposed rulings. How you doing it? How you doing it, Mona? My goodness.
Because she's a Mona. Because she's a Mona.
Let's see here. Ka, who wrote this up? I missed the first 30 minutes, didn't get a notification. I'm sitting right here. My phone hasn't even notified me that I went live. So
I wrote it up. Thank you very much.
And this isn't the finished document, folks. So if there are typos, things like that, those will get taken care of. So
it is the finished document, and there's some key phrases. And excuse me while I get off my biscuits for a second. There are key phrases, and words that have been taken out of the Church of Scientology agreement and the IRS agreement and their previous documents that need to stay in there, whether they're typoed or not. Okay. So that's why everything is in there. It should stay like it is as the complaint is made, because there's certain indicators in each of in almost all of it.
All right. Yeah, well, they were saying like the pointing out the Miscavige has an E at the end of the name, stuff like that. So
maybe. Yeah. Okay. So
let's see here. KTP.
I'm not an attorney.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not an English teacher, so I'm sitting there reading and I'm like, I don't see no problem, but I'm taking a few knocks to the head too. I have posted some interesting facts on my community page about this Church of Scientology. It's interesting and also sickening how things are listed. Well, when you start going through the tech and how Hubbard wrote things up, that's one of the things, is that it's really interesting. I can't explain how I keep getting shocked by the things that they do and how this organization is put together. It's crazy.
And there's, if you go down the rabbit hole of just the fiduciary and the tax stuff that they get away with and the laws they're breaking and how they squeak by on their employment stuff, but you still have to prove it, one, which that probably wouldn't be too hard to do, but then you have to get past that stupid 1999 agreement.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that being able to, they have that agreement, but that's one of the things, having someone like you and folks, I've been talking about this for a long time, is having folks that are able to get in there. Think about if Stephanie started digging into these kinds of things instead of focusing on Aaron. Look at it. Mona here starts digging into things and finds, hey, you know what? There's a fifth point to all of this. That's a loophole that we can get around the IRS having handcuffed themselves through the agreement they made.
There's absolutely no precedence to this. None. There was one case against public violation of fundamental public policy that Two Sandwiches Tall told me about, and I went through, and it was against a university, a religious university, based on way back when about um, people getting married or dating each other that are not of the same black and white, and
Right.
you know what I'm talking about. That's what that was about. So there is no, that's the only fundamental public policy, and that went in our favor. So that's the only precedence at all. Other than that, there's been nothing,
Well,
absolutely nothing. So this is brand new territory.
yeah, and Squirrel SPTV says, shouldn't we refer to Miscavige as chairman of the board instead of leader? But is he actually listed as chairman of the board in any of the documentation that we have on it,
No,
or is it? Yeah, I mean
no,
that's
he's
one of
not.
the things
No, he's not.
they call him Cobb, but is he actually listed anywhere as Cobb?
No,
That's the
he's not.
interesting thing.
And folks, I mean, if you want to, I promise I won't take, this has already been filed. This,
Mhm.
I've already filed it. Many people have already filed it. We need to have more people file it. If you absolutely need to go through and redline it and make those, just have at it. But um, if you have to like put the ruler over my knuckles because I did misspelling or something like that, it got done.
Yeah,
Next time you do it.
I guess we got two Monas who research is their forte, because Mona Englert says research is her forte also. And folks, here's the thing. Eh, I understand. Yeah, there's a couple of things in there that you may think, well, that's not correct or that's not correct. Instead
Bison,
of
I will put a link on my community page to that agreement.
instead of focusing on those points, think about the overall body of this complaint and how that is something that's beyond what is going on otherwise. I mean, I truly believe the protests, the First Amendment auditing, they are making great strides in stopping people from being able to join up with Scientology. It's stopping them from being able to recruit for the most part. I mean, look at it. They had to go and have a road closed down for an extended amount of time because they were having some kind of big thing, that celebration they were going to have for children out there, because that was the only way they could do this without everybody showing up and literally shutting them down. All right, they run in every
Yep.
time protesters or auditors show up. They run in, they close the doors, they lock the doors, they close the curtains. All right, they're doing amazing things with this, but the fact is that you got to step it up and you have to fight this battle on many different fronts, and this is one of the other fronts that has to be taken to task. Everybody keeps saying we got to take away the 501c3 status. Well, we already know that per the agreement the IRS isn't going to do anything or can't do anything, but there is a fifth door, and that's the door we're trying to kick down now and trying to
Yep.
push through. And because the FBI has failed to do its job or has refused to do its job, now the complaints are being made against the FBI in a way to force them to do their job. So,
Exactly.
everybody's saying we got to break the 501c3. We got to take their exempt status away from them. Well, this is the move that's doing it to hopefully make this happen. So,
And
this is
I
one
did
of the
run
things.
this past a couple of lawyers
Mhm.
to get their input, and bless their souls, they are I love lawyers to where they have great focus and beautiful input, and I really took to heart what they were saying about it. But it's not claims against, from the people for themselves. It's claims against the, and so it's a bigger picture. It's something different. It's a different horse, come to say.
Yeah.
So, I, and I really would have loved to send this out publicly and say, hey, everybody give me your thoughts on this. But I had to keep it to the chest. I had to keep it to my vest
Well, we got to remember
for
that
the,
every time something happens, like we were talking about earlier, not only has this organization been put together in what can be considered nothing more than a brilliant way of putting this as strategizing, putting it together to in a way that when you knock one domino down, there's 500 more behind it
Yeah.
that are untouched. And you look at that, and then you look at the fact where someone earlier in chat was talking about how many lawsuits they filed against the actual IRS agents, and then the fair gaming practices that happened against the IRS and against the families of the IRS. This is not, an organization that's not prepared to fight. So if you give them the lead on what's going to happen, they're going to find ways to fight it. So this has to be kept more covert. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, out there, a lot of people, well, nobody's doing anything. I'm not hearing anything. There's a reason, folks. And it's not a matter, um, it's not a matter of we don't want you to know, or we want to take all the praise or the pride in what's going on. It's a matter of you have to do it that way. It's kind of like with a military or a law enforcement type of incident where you're not putting the information out there because the information itself can jeopardize the operation itself. And that's what's
Yeah.
going on. And it's not a matter of we're trying to hide it from you or trying to force that as a way to make you come and watch and listen to what we're saying. It's a matter of protecting the actual project itself and making
And
sure
I truly needed the people that were affected from the abuse to stand up and to have their moment, and for them to take their power back, because for all of us never-ends to file this claim. And a side note, Audit LA is revamping this claim so that way it is geared toward us never-ends to be able to file. And she'll get the wording down, but Audit LA is working on that, so that way we will be included. But Kiara, what I was saying was that that I had a couple of lawyers that I just had talked with about the wording and the verbiage, and just making sure that it wasn't something that was going to harm us. But they really weren't understanding the concept of what I was doing, because they were more looking at individual claims versus a claim against the FBI. That's all.
Okay. And if you're talking about what I was saying, I'm talking about they have some very good attorneys working for them. Very,
Oh,
very good attorneys.
incredible attorneys.
And that's the thing. Um,
You're welcome.
I'm just looking at some of them. Oh, okay. There you go. And thank you for that super chat, Bobby Joe. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that this is some stuff that, a lot of you are realizing that there's a lot more to this, and there's a lot more to the fight.
Yes.
Let's see, never ends, RE, fair gaming, etc. I guess it was part of another
That's what
conversation.
Audit LA is gearing the letter to, for a
Oh, okay.
complaint against the FBI.
Yeah.
So in my research, I told you I was going to talk just a little bit about those FBI, that dump of FBI files. There were 9 different claims that are in there, and the first one is it has a little bit of information. It's talking about 4 different claimants to the FBI, but they were talking about the 4 different claimants weren't representing as in representing legally, but representing as in standing in for. There were over 1,000 people that were affected by what this claim was for. That didn't go anywhere. Went all the way through, even all of it was for slavery and human trafficking. Nothing against kids, though, that you could
Right.
see, because everything's redacted. So the 8th claim, and that's why I put the link, anybody can have access to those. The 8th claim happened to be in reference to a gentleman that was in the RPF, and he did a daily RPF insider newsletter. And it was quite, I started reading it the other night because I couldn't get to sleep, so I went online and I was reading it online, and I got to the point, there was one where you get to it and it shows the list of people that was in the RPF with them. And Laura Anderson's dad was on that list, Phil
Wow.
Anderson. So it was like, oh, and I'm crying about it. And the one piece I didn't get to reading it to was he's talking about a Christmas Day. Do I have a minute or two I can read about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go right ahead.
I'm not going to bring it up. I'm just going to read it. It's a Christmas greeting from the RPF. Have you ever wondered what it's like celebrating Christmas in the RPF? Well, it is not something that you would think could exist in the US today, especially not in a church. It's a total denial of anything associated with Christmas. You are robbed of all your time and you aren't allowed to have anything to do with Christmas at all. In all the years I spent on the RPF, Christmas was always suppressed and made nothing of because there is nothing to enjoy. Every year we all talked about it in a way of, well, next Christmas we will not be here, and tried to forget about it, just hoping that it would soon be over. The next Christmas comes and you're still here, year after year. Old pleasurable memories fade away and one becomes lost to any of the traditional things that Christmas usually brings. The joy of giving a present, writing Christmas cards to your friends and loved ones, shopping, seeing a movie, eating presents, writing Christmas cards to your friends and loved ones, seeing a movie, blah, blah, blah. I got to the wrong spot here. Eating good treats. The dream is always pushed. Graduate so you can enjoy Christmas. Meanwhile, you are lower than a rat. If you have any relatives or a spouse that left who will still care about you and know where you are, they could drop off a bag of goodies for you, which only accentuates your loneliness and creates worse feelings for those who never get anything anymore.
Yeah.
Then it goes on to describe how they read all your mail, and that one year they decided that nobody was allowed to send letters because it was taking the officer in control too long to read all the Christmas letters before they were sent. So they weren't allowed to send Christmas letters. So what did you get? You got 10 extra minutes to eat your Christmas dinner.
That's so nice.
So, and I'm not going to read the rest of it. If you guys want, as I said, you can go. That was I, okay. So what really gets me, I'm going to come back to the screen here so I can see your face and all the lovely comments, is that they supposedly, after Mike Rinder made all of that public to the FBI and made all the claims, and the FBI came back, and I remember them saying the RPF isn't anymore. The RPF was so it's they disqualified it, they disassembled it, whatever. But just the other night we saw a group of RPFers laying down the netting on the easement and pounding down the stakes. They were all in the black shirts. Those were all RPF people. You can't tell me there isn't RPF people anymore. They're all there. They're still there.
Yeah.
And they're lower than low, degenerate people.
That's the thing is there's so many hypocrisies in it. I mean, you have L. Ron Hubbard stating that he wants to be the Antichrist, but they're talking about celebrating Christmas. They're saying fair gaming doesn't exist anymore, but people going through my mailbox, private investigators taking pictures of my house. Doesn't sound like that's not going on anymore. I mean, if you listen to what the Jane Does had to deal with and what they're still dealing with, I mean, you can't say that fair gaming doesn't exist. There's so many different things they say, well, we don't disconnect anymore. Well, then why won't you let Liz Ferris talk to her father? Why won't you let her meet with him? The thing is, they'll say a million different things. Just because you change the name of it doesn't mean that it's not the same anymore. So, and folks, if you got one of the 5 memberships gifted by Sharifa, make sure you let her know. And thank you for being back, Sharifa. I know it's been a little while, but I've been following you on Facebook and see a lot of good things going on with you, and I'm happy for you. Um,
So how can people that are ooh, that hurt.
I like
Uh,
that. I want to start calling it unfair gaming. That's pretty good.
that's true. That's true.
Oh, this is
Um,
this is a good point here. Children's events, but don't believe in children.
yeah.
So I think that's those are all very poignant parts to it. There's so many fallacies or hypocrisies that we see, and yeah, Marilee, that's exactly the kind of thing that happens is, and you see it in other organizations. They do it. I mean, Lord, look in the world of law enforcement. The Supreme Court came out and said you can't have quotas anymore. So departments said, well, we don't have quotas anymore. Um, we have performance standards that
Mhm.
we're having the officers go by. Well, just because you change the name but use all the same tactics and the same requirements, you're still doing the same thing. So, that's the thing. And there you go, Janelle. It's semantics is what it literally is.
That's all it is.
So, let's see. What about them allowing other religion holiday celebrations? Yeah, I mean that's one of the things I was talking about. LRH himself said that at one point, if I'm correct in it, he said that he wanted to be the Antichrist. So if you want to be the Antichrist, how are you allowing people within your organization to celebrate the birth of Christ? Sounds
Mhm.
pretty weird. Um, I mean, I this is like I said, folks. The fact is that this, no matter what, this is still going to be a long haul kind of thing. I certainly do not see them going down without the most ultimate fight of all time in the move in the advancement to taking them down. So we have to be prepared for it. You have to dig your heels in the sand. You have to make that stance. The way that we do that is we continue looking for these different ways of going at them. The way that
Yeah,
we actually make the difference and finally cut the string that drops the anchor is that we have to keep finding the unique loopholes like their attorneys do, finding ways that
exactly.
you can shut down the kind of things that they're doing and prove, how many people do you have to have that say, I was a child that was a victim of this organization, when how much time is devoted throughout this country and the world where everybody's saying, we've got to save the children. Okay. And connectology, that's a perfect thing. Like the marketing of cigarettes to children, and teenagers back in the day. They suck them in when they are young, making it cool, fun, play, act, model, etc. Their parents get involved too. Not just getting involved, their parents literally give their children to this organization.
Right.
So,
And this is a good way for parents that are under the radar, that they know in their gut that there's something going on with their children, to get them in on this also. This is a good way.
and thank you, Miss Sunrise Dawn, for being here as long as you could. We appreciate you. And folks, she's done it again. Sharifa has gifted another 5 memberships. So if you get a membership, make sure you say thank you to her. Sharifa has been someone who's been coming to this channel for a long time, been a big supporter of it. I consider her a friend, and I can't wait when I get a chance to get over there to actually meet and thank her in person. Let's see, KT PETA. I would like to see if there can be a convo with other people from other cults on how their leaders got busted. Why not David Miscavige? Why do they make it happen? That do you have any info on how it is that Miscavige has been shielded so well? I personally think that it's through the way that this organization's set up.
It it is, because it's a business. It's not a
Mhm.
religion, it's a business. And because of the web and the culture of shh, don't tell the police, they're going to take you away, they're going to make you're going to have engrams or n thetas, or it's going to hurt you, and we're not going to be able to clear the planet if you don't tell nobody. That's as a baby.
And I
As a
think
baby, they're told that.
that's another point of hypocrisy with this organization, of the whole point of, you don't talk to law enforcement, you don't talk to government agents, but yet they go out and they do everything that they can to instill themselves with those agencies that they're telling their own people don't talk to them. And that's just another example of the hypocrisy that is going on in there. There are a lot of different organizations that do the same thing, but they're not
Yeah,
as blatant about it as what's going on
right.
here. Let's
KT
see.
PETA, Warren Jeffs is in jail for graping an SA. They did not convict the organization. The
Right.
organization still has its 501(c)(3) tax status.
And they're still going on to this day, even
They
though
are.
everybody knows about it. And there's been, Netflix specials. There's been so many documentaries about what's going on there, but yet that organization is still in operation. I mean, Lord, there was an actual show where they were going in and pulling people out, young ladies who wanted to get out, going in the middle of the night and helping them escape from the FLDS and the different polygamous groups that are out there. I mean, these things are going on, and these organizations still have their tax exempt status.
They
Um,
do. And you know what? There are going, even after we take this down, because I have faith that we're going to take this down. We as a group, each piece of the puzzle. But there are still going to be adults that use the techniques of L. Ron Hubbard
mhm.
because they believe in them, and to each his
Well,
own.
remember, Cheryl and I were just on Wednesday night, and we were talking about it, about how her father and a number of people who are former Scientologists are still living that free zone or independent Scientologist lifestyle because they are so addicted to what they spent the majority of their life upholding and practicing. And so Crepitus has a very interesting point. High profile Scientologists who want to leave are told, if you leave, we cannot ensure the privacy of your auditing records. I mean, literally, folks, if that's what they're being told, doesn't that sound like blackmail?
Little blackmail going on there. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Um, yeah. Mona Englert and someone else's. Yeah. KT PETA. Yeah. Escaping polygamy. I mean, there's actual things out there where they are there's this is showing up over and over and over again. And how is it that these cults keep getting away with these things? It's because they put up a wall of silence and resistance. If you
Right.
can't get anyone within the organization to talk, you've got to be able to do it through other means, by finding the records, finding, like in one of the ones I saw where they went into like the room where the leader of one of the groups had his first meetings with one of his numerous child wives, and they actually, this is what got them good, was they actually videotaped those encounters,
Yeah.
and that was in a documentary that I saw. So the thing is the difference here between Scientology and a lot of the others is, with the others, a lot of them started going digital as things started progressing. Scientology keeps a lot of stuff literally on paper.
There
So,
is still, for every single audit session and ethics handling and course, there are still paper trails and videos of every single one. And that's the problem, though, is all of a sudden there's going to be a fire at the Blue and everything's going to go boom, boom, or whatever. And they'll lose all of that or wherever they happen to be. But we have 200 receipts.
yeah.
We have live receipts.
And I think that should be the most damning evidence of all, is you
Yeah.
have the actual victims who are willing to tell their story. And if not them, their family members, because those folks are no longer with us, their family members who are able to talk about the hell that those people went through even after they left the organization. And that's one of the things that is, it, it- when we talk about these things, it's not a one-time incident. Anytime these things
No.
happen, it's a lifetime of injury these people put up with. And even though they put on a straight face or a strong face and they move on, there's always that underlying injury that is in the back of their soul or in the back of their mind as to what happened to them. This isn't just about indoctrinating children into it. This is about damaging people for the rest of their lives. And, I thank the Lord for Jamie Mustard and what he's doing with the DSR and, helping a lot of these folks that have gone through it. But even with that, there's still the scars that remain. All we can hope to do is be understanding, compassionate, empathetic for these folks, do what we can to help them. And also, we've got to do what we've got to do to make sure that we bring this organization down. And, this is one of the ways that we do it. And this is how you see the protesters out there. They're the public front that is taking the attention, while the rest of us are behind the scenes doing what we do silently and making those forward strides to help bring this organization down. And we need everybody. We don't just need the protesters. We don't just need, the folks who are on YouTube doing this. We need the folks like Mona. We need the other people who are behind the scenes that you don't see what they're doing, because this is the way that it has to work. And this is why I keep saying you don't have to be on YouTube. You don't have to protest or audit. You can do so many different things to help bring this organization down. And we need to continue to focus on the actual goal that we're going after, which is stopping this. I agree, Rally Sport. But the thing is that until you can get these cities, states, federal government to stop pandering to this, they're going to continue to allow them to have the permits for holding a children's event. They're going to continue to allow them to close down a street.
Do you think LA should give P. Diddy a permit for having bouncy houses in front of his house? No. But until you prove it or until you show it, there,
And Bison wants to know if you have a Cash App or any of those apps.
I do have a PayPal on my.
Do you want to put it up
page? There? I could find it.
Is it on your channel?
It's on my channel, yeah.
Okay, let me go over there. It's under your links and stuff. There we go. If it's okay, I'll put that on there.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Please, thank you.
And that's another way, folks.
I would be more than honored.
Oh, look who just drug their self in here. Too good to come in and be
little sister early. Pinche.
Hola, Mia. This is the amazing stuff, folks, is that, there are a lot of people, and that's one of the things you have to remember. There's hardly any of us that are here. The link won't open. Then I'm going to put the link to Mona's YouTube page, and I'll show you in just a second here. So when you go to her page, let me pull it up, y'all. When you go to her page, up top here where it has the name and all that listed right there, it's going to come down and it has where it says 3 more links. When you go in there, she has her Amazon wish list. Then she has the PayPal link, and then a link to SPTV Foundation and the SPTV space. So the second one down is going to be her PayPal. It's this one right here. The second one down underneath the Amazon. And here is the link to her YouTube page. So, and folks, like I said, this is the thing, is that ain't none of us making money off this. There's only a few people who are up there big enough that can do that. All right. We're doing this because this is the right thing to do. We're doing this because we see the evil of it. We're doing this because it needs to stop, because not another child needs to fall victim to this. All right.
I'm doing this because of Serge and Nora and just last week, I mean, it's been how many years has she been out? And just last week, Liz Ferris just broke down publicly on a YouTube video, publicly broke down, and it broke my heart watching somebody have to be continually lambasted with old hurt. And it just, how I just can't imagine. I mean, look at poor Michael and Serge just this last weekend. You know, Serge, it broke him down to have Michael arrested like that. It was just another assault to him.
Think
And
of
this,
think of the fact of what an effect Michael has all of us within this community. And then that's Serge's husband. That's his partner in life. And to have that happen to him and everything that's happened to Serge in his life, and that's the person who his safe space is now
Mhm.
gone from him, even though it was for however many days or hours, that was still taken from him. And it was
I've had the
another attack from
it was.
Scientology.
I've had
You
the
know?
pleasure of working with literally Michael and literally Serge for the last couple of months, and it has been an incredible journey. I tell the story of I grew up in a very stable household. My dad was in the military, so we moved a lot, but they were married 50 some years. They gave each other googly eyes up until the day that he died. They gave each other googly eyes and held hands and said, I love you. They were just so smoochy woochy and they just loved each other. That's the example that I was raised with.
Yeah.
And honestly, for the last couple of months, I giggle because every time I see Michael and Serge together, that they give each other googly eyes, and it just kind of reminds me of the love. So I just think it's cute. But
Well, I mean, in the I can speak personally from the point of, we just talked about it recently. The wife and I just celebrated our 34th anniversary. We pretty much don't know how to function without the other.
mm,
We've become such a it's almost like the separation between us is almost non-existent. We don't know how to function. The thing is that it's like when I go on trips and I go out of country, something like that. My wife talks about how hard it is for her to sleep at night because I'm not there snoring, and she can't sleep if I'm not there snoring beside of her. And then
mhm.
for me, it's the fact of being there and trying to sleep and she's not touching me. That's the thing is that you get to a point where you become so dependent upon each other because you become so much of each other's lives. And I can understand fully why it would be so traumatizing for Serge to have Michael gone, but also let's think about how traumatizing it was for Michael to be separated from him. And
Can
that's
you imagine this disconnect? You know, I was reading that RPF Insider blog, the newsletter that he got out to the public, and just the disconnection and not seeing your family, or Jenna Miscavige's story where she
yeah,
got to see her mom and I don't think it was even her dad, but she got to see her mom 1 hour a week.
yeah. And
I
I mean, to think about how these parents
wasn't
have,
laughing. I was laughing about what you put on there. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't laughing
that's
about
why I
that.
was laughing while you were talking about it. But the thing is when you think about these parents who are signing their children over to the Sea Org or into Scientology itself, knowing what can happen to them, that's going to tell you what kind of effect this organization has on its members. That they believe, well, not my child because we're different, because this isn't what actually happened, or it's hidden from them to the point that they don't believe that these things have happened to other children. that's the problem we have here, is that everything is so silenced within the organization itself to its actual practitioners. They have no idea about these stories. How many
So
of them do you?
did you hear the Phil Jones the other day? He was talking to Natalie.
No, I
Phil
didn't.
Jones is him and his wife are the ones looking for their children, Emily and
Right.
Mike Jones. And he was talking about when his daughter was young, maybe 13, 14, um, and she brought home a friend that was 12 from school and said, "Oh, she needs to stay with us because her mom joined the Sea Org." And she was there for a couple of years because mom just left and went to the Sea Org. And I guess that was normal to
Mhm.
find a Scientology household to pawn your children off if you go in. What? No,
Yeah.
come on. Get my
And
heart.
and it's not just a matter of that, it's a matter of the other households are expected to take them in,
Right.
you know? I mean, this is it's disgusting, to be honest with you. I can't, I mean, honestly, with my children, I hope, and I'm sure you feel the same way. I cannot honestly fathom the fact of someone else raising my children. To me, there's
Mm,
no way it's not happening,
no.
you know. So, much as I love you and I think you're a great person, you ain't raising my babies. It's that simple. It's my babies. So, I'm just, the more that I think about this organization and the more I realize and the more that we learn every single day about what they're doing and the damage that they're doing, I I I think, a lot of times I think I just can't be shocked anymore. And then the next day, it's all over again. And I mean, my goodness, sometimes when I look at these things and I wonder why isn't the government jumping in and doing what they're doing? Have you seen the documentary Mr. Bates versus the post office?
No.
It's from the UK, where basically with the way that they ran things, they had local post offices in each of the villages and cities and things like that that were privately run by citizens. They signed these agreements and things had gone great. You had people, one guy had done nothing in his life but work as a postmaster in his little town. And they introduced this new computer system, and all of a sudden, all these people who had everybody had been doing everything pencil to paper, keeping all of their records. There had been no problems. And then suddenly this new computer system comes in, and these people who've been doing these things the right way their entire lives, they go to put their information in, and it shows that there's $1,000, $5,000 discrepancy in their money. And when they call in, they say, "Hey, what's going on with this? I'm having a problem with it." They're being told, "Well, the problem has to be you," and no one else is calling and saying anything about it. Well, it turned out there were over 500 of these different small post offices were having the exact same problem with this system. And it literally got to the point where they were putting people in prison, and they were coming in and basically hitting these people with, "You did this, and instead of charging you with theft, we're going to allow you to plead to fraudulent auditing, and then you take the hit on it." Well, there's already been 93 people who've had their cases overturned. And the thing is, the whole time the post office sat there and said, "There's no problem on our end. It's all with those folks." Even when the truth came out, they did everything to cover themselves on it. So when you see
Right.
something like that, and then you see what's going on with an organization like Scientology, I'm not surprised that the government's dragging its feet, not doing what they're supposed to. It's not
Right.
until it gets so bad that they can't turn the other way or they can't do anything else without having to hear about it, that they actually start doing something, or if they get enough notoriety in the press, then they'll
And
do
that's
something.
what this is we all need to stand up to do something so they
Yeah.
can't turn a blind eye. So
And
do you wanna try and do a claim real quick?
oh, what's that?
You wanna try and do a claim real quick?
We
You don't
can.
have to put real information in there, but I'll show
Okay.
you how easy it is.
Let me pull it back up real quick here. Let me make sure here I got the right one. Oh, there it is. Okay. All righty. Let me present this.
Sir Crepitus, I saw your note. Thank you.
Oh, what do you say?
He sent me something off my wish list. Thank you.
Oh, okay. He's awesome.
I,
All right. Let's see
so the
here.
very first link,
Okay. So is that where you go? You click that link there?
just click on that link.
Okay.
There's one for the IRS too, but this one's the important one. The
Okay.
IRS one is just an extra one if you want to do that too.
Okay. So click submit a report.
Is that where you're at? I can't see where you're at because
No, it
it's not
didn't
on the
show up
screen.
on there. Hold on. Let's see. I thought it would have carried over because it did it within the same window. Hold on. We'll go ahead and pull that up. Again, folks, I am not technically proficient about a lot of things. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
Now
So you
we're
just hit submit report.
okay. You ain't gonna
Now
get me
you
in
can
trouble,
put,
are you?
nope, you can put fake information in there. The
Okay.
only things you need to put your name and stuff like that in there because it kind of defeats the purpose if you put anonymous. But
Oh,
you
yeah.
put,
I
you
think
just
I
put
think
it,
that would be kind of crazy. And it goes through all the different
yeah,
classifications.
just then put in wherever it's starred that you have to put the information.
Right. Let's see.
You can put Santa Claus or whatever. Now, if you go down there, I can't see where you're at, but down there it'll say subject something.
Okay, we'll get through all that other stuff here. It's
No,
basically asking you for your contact information and all that. And
right.
whoa, it asks for your
But before you can go to the next page, go back up.
okay.
There's one piece. As I said, I can't see where you're at, but it says subject. It's one of them that's titled subject. Go down.
Okay. Well, what it
And
says.
it's got a drop down menu.
Okay. I think that's going to be on the next one because it's got
No,
up
it's
here.
no, it's not. No, it's not.
Okay.
Go down.
All right. Name, suffix, email, address, city, town, state, province, postal code, country, phone number, year of birth, last four, social security number.
Nope, it's go back up then.
Yeah, because I'm looking right here and you
It
see how
says,
it shows. It shows right here complainant information, and then the next page is going to be your subject information.
let me go there.
Okay.
Because I know when if you hit next page, it'll make you go back and refill in everything because
Let's try. See.
I know
Now it's on subject information.
let me tell you where it's at here. I know it's on the first page because when Nora and I did it the other day, it did it to me again.
Well, here's what happened. I went through and I put in the things that were red starred and I hit next page. And the first thing, the very top of it is subject information and it says subject title. And it has a drop down menu.
Okay, so it's just. So subject title, you drop down.
Right.
You might have to refill in your information though, and then it'd be FBI.
FBI.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know why it does that. So apparently you can't see it.
Wow. Okay.
And then when you don't have to fill all of that out. It's just whatever is starred.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm doing is just the starred ones for now.
Yep. And then
All
hit
right.
the next page.
Okay.
And then right there in that very first detail box.
Right.
That's where you copy and paste that letter, the complaint.
All right. So like that.
And where it says your name, put your name in there. Erase
Right.
it and put your name in there.
Okay.
And then I think everything else is basically just claim, and you don't have to put anything. You can keep today's date. You can hit submit.
All right. Yeah. Right down here at the bottom, it has submit.
Yeah. But you
So
wouldn't hit submit because that's all fake information anyways.
yeah, I'm gonna close that out real quick.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how easy it is.
So as you see, folks, it's literally it walks you through the filing of it itself. It's not a major thing that you're going to have to study up for or anything like that. You can literally just go through and put the information in that you need to place this complaint. Let's see. Okay, they're talking to someone else. There you go. Sir Crepidus says so easy, even a caveman can do it. So, but it's easy. You don't have to be technologically advanced in these things. It's literally just going through, filling out the boxes as you go, and hitting the things that you need to hit. That's how it happens. It's
The
not
least
hard.
amount is the starred ones, but if you wanted to put your address and all that in there, please
Right.
do. I mean,
Yeah.
but you don't have to. I mean, that's not, it doesn't have to be that complicated.
Yeah. And the thing is, folks, is this is one of those things where I was talking about. You don't have to be a protester. You don't have to be an auditor. You don't have to be a YouTube person. These are the things you can do behind the scenes. And this doesn't cost you any money to do this. This is how you can do these things. This is how you can literally go forward and take care of these things and make your name be known, make your voice be heard. It's not that hard. It's something that anyone can do as long as you have access and you can get it done. So please don't think that, well, I can't do that. Yeah, you can. You can do it. Like I've said many times before, all you have to do is believe that you can do it. All right. Take that
And
first step.
the
Um,
wording is in my community tab, and I'm sure Popo will put it in his
yep.
community tab, and share it, use it. Let's get these people where they need to be. Let's get this out of here.
Yeah, I'll find a way to get it into the community tab, folks, so you can find it and that you can use it yourself. You don't have, like I said, it's very easy. It's one of those that walks you right through it. And if you make a mistake, it's going to tell you, hey, you didn't do this, or you didn't do that. Please go back and take care of it. So it's not that hard, and anybody can do it. I don't know if someone from outside the United States can do it.
We discussed this in the other session, and if you were abused in the United States, even though if you live, let's say, over in Australia or the Netherlands or wherever, well,
Mhm.
yeah, you can. The FBI didn't protect you when it happened.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, yeah, there you go. So you can file that from outside the United States. So, all right, folks. So Mona, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. As you know, I've been dealing with some things going on my end, and some of the medication they give me pretty much wears me out. Do you have any closing thoughts on this?
Just people were so serious about taking down their 501c3 status. This is a way. This is a way we all can be involved. Let's take it to heart. I know you're looking like you're painting, so I'm going to be short on this. And
Yeah.
that this is for Laura and Lara and Liz and Nora. Let's get this done, you guys.
Yeah, and folks, I mean, I'm going to beat it till I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep beating this dead horse. This is how we make that difference. This is how we make a change. And you don't have to be up here on YouTube. You don't have to be out there boots on the ground doing these things. You can make a change from right where you're at. You can actually make things happen. Don't, fear is our biggest enemy that we have in things like this. It's the thought that I can't do it, or I'm not going to make a difference, or that I'm not that kind of person, that I'm special enough to do these things. Folks, I'm just a 55-year-old man, retiree. Okay. The thing is that in my case, as compared to how some other people view things and how other people do things, is I don't have the fear of embarrassment or things like that. It's, if you don't take that step, you're not ever going to find out if you can't make it out that door. So, please believe in yourself like we believe in you. All right. And, eh, for those of you who don't know, Mona is paraplegic. Not only that, she has problems with her shoulders going on right now. Look what she's doing. Look at the differences she's making. You can do this. Everybody here believes you can. You just need to believe in yourself. And folks, thank you so much. Every second you spend with us is time you never get back. So hopefully this is an investment of your time that is rewarding to you. And as
Agreed.
always, life is short. You get one shot, make it count.